Well, I see a legend of a player, of a knight, Sir Viper. Interesting. Well, I heard those shoutcasters doing it earlier. I suppose I should try and give it a try. Well, give it a go. Run the replay clip. Ha! Okay, well, here is Viper, the man himself. He's in a 1v1, he's going for it, and it looks like he's in a terrible way. Oh, the poor Squire. Ah, he is done. And now, again, Viper, the man, the legend himself, he moves forward. He gets exhausted again. A coward's move, for sure, forsooth. And he's in a 1v2. Can the knight do so? He flashes. Oh, so close for Sir Viper. Oh, what a villain. And yet again, Viper, the hero of the story, in a 1v3 situation. By my troth, can he do it? JJ, the Squire is felled. And now, they're so far behind. TSM Academy, can they do that? I cry your mercy, beshrew thy enemies! Anon! Anon! Sir Viper goes forward! Forward unto victory! The flash! The shutdown! Sir Viper! Now, Lord, pray thee! Have mercy upon thy enemies! Oh! Oh, forsooth! For glory! For Sir Viper! He's still going! Viper, you can do it! Be the hero we all believe you to be! Yes! Oh, and another one! Sir Viper, alone in the river. Can he pass? Can he make it? Any enemies in front? Never yield! Never surrender! To battle, Sir Viper! Yes! Sir Viper! You can do it! From Squire to Minstrel to Lord to Villain! Viper! He's doing it! Sir Viper gets the kills! Oh, Viper, there's more! He can continue going! You only need this! Viper, you will win the game yourself! I believe in you, Sir Viper! Yes! Yes! Sir Viper! Oh, surely he wins that game! Surely he wins that game! We don't need to watch anymore! That was it! That was all! Sir Viper with the glory and the win. Wow, shoutcasting is a little harder than I expected, but credit to all the shoutcasters. And speaking of, let's send it back to them as we prepare for pick and ban of this next game. Woo!
I think I'm out of a job. I mean, I don't have the cast anymore. That was compelling. That was moving emotionally. What am I doing here? All right, Josh.
Well, you should probably put on some chainmail and see if that would help. Oh no. Goodbye, Rafa.
I thought about it. You know, I was like, but then I thought about having to wear the chainmail. So, you know what? Thankfully, I don't have to wear that. That is
not yet.
Not yet. No, man. Oh, but
Sir Rafa.
the only thing I feel bad for about Sir Kangsalot is he was so excited to see Viper prevail. Unfortunately for him, TSM did not win the game. Dignitas prevailed in the end, so I think Kangas was watching the wrong movie, or he was telling the tale of a movie that he thought the happy ending was coming for one side, but in the end it was Dignitas that still conquered. And I know that probably the biggest question mark was around the Elder Dragon. There's a TP moment potentially available, but we don't know what comms are like, right?
Yeah, it's so hard. When you have such a chaotic situation, it's very difficult to understand like what all the options are, and you have to just use like your own judgment in a lot of these situations. But I mean, it's so chaotic seeing how much the teams were fighting back and forth, and that's kind of what happens when you have players like Viper and Takeover on the Akali and Riven able to create so much chaos in the middle of the fights.
Oh, Kangas, welcome back.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Did you see Sir Kangsalot come back and cast
did.
that reel?
That was actually not too bad. I think that guy might have a future ahead of him.
I have a future.
Yeah. That was great. I think he needs to work on his pacing a little bit, though. You know.
Yeah, and the terminology.
It's a little outdated.
A
little outdated for modern times.
I think he can bring it up to speed pretty quick, though.
Okay, but in all seriousness, guys, while we're getting ready for the next champ select here, what happened in that game? I mean, it was was so swingy back and forward. If we could look at the gold graph there, it had to have been like a roller coaster. That definitely reflected the emotions that I was feeling there.
Oh yeah.
It was like TSM Academy were so close to taking it, but that Dig just hang in there. I mean, I don't even know how else to explain it.
I mean, it's what happens when you aren't able to really create situations where you can easily secure engagements, right? You know, we looked at it before. XU was basically the primary way for Dignitas to go forward, and he runs at you in a straight line. The problem is, as he runs to try and get these engagements started, he leaves Darkwings and Spawn so far behind where they're not really able to participate in the fight, and so you end up getting this really split situation where the question was always, can Spawn and Darkwings kite well enough to prevent Viper and Takeover from killing them, or is it going to turn on its head and Viper and Takeover roll over the backline and then they come join the front line and crush whatever resistance Dignitas has left?
Yeah, the team fights in the mid game were positioned so well by both Takeover and Viper, getting flanks, getting onto the backline, but it felt like we reached a point where, like, maybe they just rolled, you know, high rolls a couple times in a row with those mid game fights, but then by the time the late game rolled around, they didn't have the same setup and the same positioning, and then the game just kind of was over. I mean, props to Dig for holding out when you have inhibs down, you're fighting at the Elder Dragon. They're just trying to buy time and just be a nuisance, but you're still able to win the fight, get the objective, and get back in time. I mean, that was just ridiculous. And I think that TSM had options there. And, Ruff, I want to kind of hear your thoughts on this, because you were even mentioning it during the call, like, while it was all happening. It's like, watch for the TPs. When is TSM going to try and TP onto the super minions? And Takeover had that as an option the entire time, but they never committed to it.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it after Sir Kingsalot gave us a beautiful rendition.
All right, sure,
Yeah,
maybe I missed that.
We don't know what the communication was like. I mean, I think that was definitely an option. They didn't have Baron buff anymore, and, you know, Akali's not necessarily the fastest turret structure taker, but there's at least 2-3 waves of super minions that could have been something, but it comes down to what TSM were communicating prior to the fight. You know, did they believe that they were going to be victorious for the Elder Dragon? Because if they win the fight, then yeah, they can obviously go over and TP and end, but, you know, for them, maybe the priority was, no, we need Takeover here to secure the Elder Dragon and keep eyes on the amount of numbers. I mean, we don't know, right? It was a very tense game. You have to remember that, you know, while there are some experienced members here, there's a couple of newer members here as well, and there's still one of the difficulties of this team is just figuring out how to shot call correctly towards the later stages of the game. They showed great moments of shot calling and coordination in the choke points that led to their comeback, but in a tense moment like that, I mean, it can be understandable for a newer and a fresher team to make a mistake like that.
Just like the weight of chainmail on a gamer's body, the weight of that loss will hang on TSM Academy. But we're going to set it back into pick and ban here for the final game of the day, guys. So, final pass. Take it away.
Thanks, Kangas. Bye, Kangas. Is there ever a time where we can get Kangas to actually, like, be with us for an entire game and commentate with us? Like, do you think is that possible?
I mean, do we want Kangas or do we want Sir Kingsalot?
See, I'm more
the real
threatened by Sir Kingsalot because he had a lot of charisma, and...
Oh, but Kangas doesn't, I see.
Wait! That's not what I meant! Not what I was trying to say! Sir Kingsalot had an abnormal amount of charisma, unlike any other. Kangas has charisma, but, like, Sir Kingsalot had, like, godly amounts of charisma, you know?
Okay, it's okay. I mean, Kangas can still hear you. He knows you are putting him on blast, but we got a game to talk about.
Kangas, I'm sorry.
We got a game to talk about, and we are seeing a lot of similar... Kangas just pops in. I don't know if everybody else can hear it, but just wow as he comes in. But we are going to be seeing the teams are going to be swapping sides this time around, as Instinct's going to be going back towards the tried and true Jinx, one of the most popular first picks in all of the opportunities that you can go for with basically everything else banned. And I'm curious to see what it is that Dignitas is going to be doing to react to this, because I feel like Spawn and JJ actually played that game quite well. There was one misstep from Spawn where he over-aggressed trying to take down, where he over-aggressed, but most of the time he's just trying to stay alive the entire game.
If Dignitas want to, they can just go for Aphelios once again, as they already shown. No Thresh to combo immediately after. Exu giving out a shout out to Cat once again before locking in the Victor, and so far it's just apart from the Jinx being secured this time around, it's a run back for members of Dignitas here.
Not super surprised. I mean, both these champions are very good. They're very versatile. You can do a lot of things with them, and as we saw with Spawn, you're able to be aggressive on this Aphelios as well. So it's up to TSM to see where they want to move around. Your son going back to a much more comfortable Leona like we've seen in the past, and I think that TSM naturally going with this style are going to find a lot of success in the situations where they were already putting themselves in a couple of winning positions.
And Gwen being locked in for Viper this time around. No opportunity for a spicy Riven counterpick, despite it leading to a great amount of moments that TSM capitalized on thanks to the flanks, but a little bit more standard, and taking it away from Eclipse is a double way to try and change things up in this second game. Dignitas still have access to pick up a jungler like Jarvan if they want to, or the Xin Zhao, denying that away from Hyper. And the question is, with the bot lane secured and one of the solo laners guaranteed as well for TSM, they can either focus out the other solo lane, assuming takeovers pull, or they can try to put Hyper on something uncomfortable.
I really like putting a Hyper on something uncomfortable, right? Because it is a situation where once a lot of these like primary junglers start getting taken off the table, we're not necessarily seeing as much success coming through from Hyper, but instead the Jace ban, very surprising to me, right? With the Gwen already picked up, Gwen isn't the same kind of triple threat that she used to be, where you could play her in a variety of positions. You can still kind of play her in the mid lane in very specific matchups, but into Victor, very difficult to find some advantages. So Jace feels targeted more at Takeover than at Viper, which is very different from what we normally look at this point in the match.
Only thing I could suspect is that currently Hyper is running Smite Ghost, which is what you would run for Gwen jungle. We haven't seen Gwen jungle since last summer, I think. So it would be pretty strange for us to go back to that, but I've seen some high elo solo queue games with challenger players running Gwen jungle and having some success. It's not the same as a competitive 5 standpoint. Dignitas not really changing things up from the standard. Gonna go for Recon, giving them both disengage as well as engage abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. We are seeing some Gwen jungle being played. It is, I guess really the only notable place where we've seen it recently was in the LEC, actually earlier today in Mad Lions versus Fnatic. Elyoya did play it, but unfortunately was not able to come away with the win. Other than that, there was a couple games in LCK. Canyon played it. Selfmade was also able to bring it out, but I would be pretty surprised if this was going to end up being a Gwen jungle, and instead, TSM, as they lock in the Akali once again, probably for takeover, again looking to create very chaotic situations with enough burst for Jinx to start resetting.
Is it here? Okay. All right, well, Tryndamere,
okay.
Akali, for sure two-way flex. We haven't seen them in the jungle, so I imagine that with the Ghost setup, this is Gwen jungle for Hyper. And the first Gwen jungle appearance, at least in North America. I don't think anyone in LCS or Amateur Proving Grounds side of things have been locking it in. So, all right, this is going to be new. We haven't seen a Gwen jungle in so long on the stage. And we're also going back to a old favorite for Eclipse in this set top.
Yeah, I'm expecting that this Tryndamere likely going to be going into the mid lane for takeover. He's already shown a willingness to play it in the very first week that TSM were coming through, where they were able to pick the Corki, send it top lane for Viper, and takeover was able to play the Tryndamere in. He had a couple of really good opportunities to win, or at least create advantages for themselves up against Immortals. Unfortunately, was not able to carry through the game, and it was a situation where a single bad usage of the Hextech portals put them in a disastrous position. But TSM now, again, looking to create a lot of uncomfortable positions for Darkwings and Spawn as this game goes long. And Dignitas, they have recon to try and get fights started, but you're mostly just trying to make sure you can get things set up so that Victor can crush everything down with the brutal AoEs in his game.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is that TSM not backing down from this playstyle of having two divers in their solo laners, right? Looking for flanks onto the back line. This time around, there's better ways for Dignitas to disengage. They're going to have the Victor again, and the Gravity Zone does a great job with that, but having Crescent Guard versus Volibear in general is much better at peeling multiple threats off at a single time. JJ with the quickness, even though that is powerful for setting up engages, you can also just charm anyone that attempts to dive right on top of Spawn, which then will give him a brief moment of time to reposition safely. So Dignitas, I feel like, are much better equipped for this type of playstyle from TSM, but I also appreciate that TSM are not backing down and trying to change up drastically what they were going for in Game 1, because I think when they got everything coordinated, it looked really strong.
Oh, the game has started, so I can take some tea. I was trying not to do it in the middle of the camera, but now that I'm announcing it, everybody knows that I'm just doing it anyway. So, it's
dude,
kinda defeating
you
the
just
purpose,
gotta be like me and TJ. If you've worked with TJ before,
yeah, of course I've worked with
So over on in the past, I mean, TJ will just go ahead and sip some tea, bro, and it just. I was going to ask if you're going to give us some tea sip ASMR, but I didn't realize you would just straight up slurp it. Oh my god.
No, that was just a sound effect.
That was you.
This is still too hot. I even took it off of the boiler early because I was like, you know, I don't want it to be too hot. I want to be actually able to drink some of this. But we have some League of Legends to talk about. Spawn going to be, excuse me, not Spawn, Darkwings going to be rocking the Ghost in the mid lane, as is Takeover, and I'm really excited to see like the rise of Ghost as a summoner spell kind of in general in the mid lane, because it gives a lot of these mages the ability to kite more effectively than they were previously. And Viper trying to zone Eclipse away, but again, look at how little damage Kali actually does at level 1. Oh, the dance, the dance.
Dancing. And Darkwings and Takeover just getting into each other's faces a little bit. I believe that even though Eclipse didn't necessarily get a ward down into the jungle of Hyper, they know where they started, just based on information.
Whoa.
Really? Haymaker start, but I mean, Auto Attacks is just beating the crap out of Viper right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it. Akali's level 1 is pretty darn bad. You don't get to do a whole lot just because of how much energy it takes. And Eclipse really pushing Viper around as you should be expecting. However, one thing...
Oh my god, wait, the flash forward, he does... Oh,
he does it!
I'm checking out! God! Eclipse even spam dancing on him, throws out the question mark as well. Oh, that is some S-tier BM, brother.
That is absolutely crazy. Just like watching Eclipse bully Akali around like that is exactly what you're supposed to do in this kind of matchup. Getting this early lead, and man, I feel so weird. We keep talking about how effective Viper has been in these early lanes, but like Eclipse has been showing him up today. That's the second time in 2 games that he's gotten first blood solo kill in top lane.
You know, a lot of people were... If you had told me that at the beginning Eclipse would solo kill Viper in Academy...
Twice?
Yeah, twice? I would have not believed you. Because we also had a power rankings, and I think Viper was pretty much on a lot of people's list towards the top, and Eclipse was towards the bottom. This is definitely turning the table, and because XU is here to provide assistance to Eclipse to crash in this wave, they can't necessarily set up a dive because Viper, despite being level 2, still a little difficult to play around. Darkwing's taking a lot of damage from Takeover.
Yeah, we're very quickly starting to see in the mid lane a couple things. One, Takeover has shown to be an expert at the little dance that you gotta do. When you're playing melee versus ranged, even if you're getting outranged, you need to threaten that you're going to continue walking towards them so that they need to back up. And Takeover doing a fantastic job playing that little game of chicken with Darkwings. And as a manaless champion going up against Darkwings on this Victor, Victor will eventually run out of mana, whereas Takeover, his only resource is HP, and he regenerates that by hitting
Not
things.
only this is a return to a champion who's already shown this Academy split so far, but when you think about peak Takeover when he came in for TSM Academy in the summer split of last year, he made a name for himself off of fighter champions. But no more about Takeover. It's all about XU trying to gank Viper. They're going to try to die for it. Eclipse does have the shield from Haymaker if he needed to, but the Facebreaker does not connect. Viper will be able to survive.
Okay, Hyper is here as
Pops
well. It's a
Ghost,
2v2.
Ignite goes down on Eclipse. They know. Oh, but they just burst him down, and Hyper can't really help out. Not going to be able to close the distance onto Eclipse, and now Eclipse should have Haymaker and Facebreaker available once again. Hyper trying to do his best to kite this one out. They're going to crash a huge wave. Viper will be forced to use the teleport back onto the top wave. Darkwings. Okay, and a Ghost force
used.
out.
Okay, Viper having a rough time, but even still, he is maintaining CS parity, which is an impressive feat. But I don't want to give him too much praise because he's getting bodied, right, by Eclipse. That's the second time in a row where Eclipse is just like, what are you doing, buddy? Punches him in the face a couple of times and calls it good. But at the same time, in the mid lane, Takeover is showing why Tryndamere is so good into so many of these mages, because they can't bully him. They can't do anything about this early game Tryndamere, and it guarantees that Tryndamere will be getting to at least his first item rather uncontested. The only way that's going to change at all is if XU goes for a gank very soon, because Takeover is starting to get close to level 6.
2 kills to the side of Dignitas right now. No one has made a jump for the first dragon of the game, but it seems like Dignitas, with their push through the bottom side of the map, could be the first ones to take a chance for it. Things have slowed down ever since the craziness we saw on the top side of the map.
Oh, not quite over though, as Eclipse continues to blow things around and Takeover. Level 6 now, Darkwings has to be very careful. We've seen Takeover get solo kills in this matchup before, diving underneath the turret. But without Ghost, it's a little bit harder for him to actually stick to the Victor. And with all the pressure that Dignitas have created towards the bottom side of the map, we are seeing that JJ is freed up to go get some deep wards.
Uh-oh, XU is here. Takeover still has Flash available, and he has Undying Rage. So realistically, he should not die, but dude, that quote always gets me. Did you hear that?
Yeah, just curious. I did not. What do you say?
My right arm is a lot stronger than my left arm.
There you go. Wait, you saw my favorite quote in the game now, right? I think I sent it to you a couple days ago.
No.
Truth Dragon Yasuo.
Oh, yeah.
While you studied the blade, I studied more of the blade.
It's a good taunt. It's a good joke. JJ. Oh, wait. Instinct is going to be separated from Spawn briefly, or your Spawn briefly.
Ooh, good dodge.
But Spawn not necessarily in a position to lock him down for further damage, so got a little excited about a potential play.
I mean, good dodge coming out from JJ, making sure he doesn't get caught up by the Leona, but this, look at how dangerous this is. Takeover is already, he already took the Raptors away once. He's 20 CS up in the mid lane at 7.5 minutes, right? Despite the fact that Viper has died twice, he is still at parity. That's just like how dominant Takeover has been. He's not just creating a situation where he can threaten to solo kill his opponent. He hasn't done just quite yet, but he's creating a situation where Darkwings can't farm, and he's going to be really late to his items. Viper's not going to be late to his items. He's just going to be weak relative to where Eclipse is.
Level and experience difference, or experience difference overall, right? And the base stats will be made up for Eclipse's level lead. But you're absolutely right, because I don't know, even if as strong as Eclipse can get in the side lane, it's always frustrating in a 1v1 to take down Takeover on Tryndamere because of this Undying Rage. And then if he has enough attack speed and attack damage to whittle you down, he'll be able to kill you before his Undying Rage times out.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as League of Legends. Tryndamere going Undying, and now Darkwings.
Have to kite this one out. Eclipse is here.
Okay.
Gonna throw out the showstopper. Undying Rage will be popped here. Can they turn around? They have your Sun and Hyper around. Viper's also here. Perfect execution. They find one on the XU. Rift Herald was still secured by Dignitas. Oh, okay. Viper's still falling up forward. He doesn't have the
It's not
second
low.
cast of Perfect Execution. Will not be able to take down Eclipse. And the passive base regen should allow him to sustain back up.
Yeah, he should be pretty safe here unless more members of TSM come over, and it looks like they are more focused on picking up the red buff. At the same time, Spawn and Instinct left alone on the other side of the map, and Spawn creating more pressure. Looks like he's trying to take a play, and Eclipse going to be A-okay as he pulls Viper underneath the turret, but the trade between these two objectives ends up being rather even, right? The kill going over to Hyper in exchange for the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald is guaranteed to get you roughly a kill's worth of gold, but you can choose who to put it on rather consistently, and if you can get a full turret, the Rift Herald becomes more than worth it.
While we have some downtime before the next objective take, as I imagine that without Undying Rage, Takeover can't necessarily threaten Dark Wings. The Rift Herald would be summoned. You know, the last time that Spawn and Instinct have played against each other was in 2020. Spawn was on Polar Ace, Instinct
Wow.
was Asilian back on Mirage. Rift Herald will crash. A lot
Wow.
of turret plates. Yeah, cool stuff.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
2 years ago.
Feels like yesterday.
And honestly, it does. I can't believe that 2 years has actually passed, because I still remember the Challengers Uprising Grand Final between a new esports and the first class of 100 Thieves next. Ah,
Yeah. And they're all grown up. Or mostly Academy now. So. But here we go. The game still remains relatively even between these two teams, and it's going to really come down to how these teams are going to be playing around a lot of these objectives, right? TSM are looking to find ways to create chaotic fights, and Dignitas just want
might be
controlled
one.
ones.
Quickness Grand Entrance, and they bait out the Solar Flare as well. And Yurson knowing that if he pops the Solar Flare, at least JJ will not be able to commit onto the dive. But now that is one ultimate ability down. One powerful CC ability that will not stop XU in his tracks, but they're going to just try to jump on him before he gets a chance. Teleport coming in. If they can burn down this teleport before the teleport comes through, but it's not enough time. Viper is now here, and it's a numbers advantage for TSM. Super Mega Death Rocket will connect. Viper finds his way on to JJ with the Shuriken backflip and the perfect execution. Spawn is the only one left standing, but it might not be enough. Spawn is definitely going to have to leave the turret. There's no way he can defend.
XU just being sacrificed for his team once again. Spawn heals up quite a bit, so he should be
Whoa.
safe from the dive, but he's not going to be able to pick up anything off of this turret whatsoever. All those minions will be going down in Eclipse. Not even able to create a whole lot of advantage on the other side of the map because Takeover smartly rotated up to cover the lane for the top side. But we can take a look at this again. XU using the first Q on the ward to try and get the knock up instantly. But seeing this teleport come through, Dignitas are not able to kill the turret in time, and at that point, Viper, I mean, we've seen him play this champion before effectively, making sure he can get towards the backline a second time, and picking up JJ makes it very, very dangerous for everybody else on this map, because Viper started off 0-2. He's now 1-2-2 after picking up a kill and 2 assists in order to make sure that he's at least even in this game.
100% kill participation involved with all of the kills that TSM been a part of. Yeah, that's basically the same thing. But anyway, 12 and a half minutes in. Second Dragon spawning 3 minutes from now. It's been a while since we focused back onto Eclipse from the top side of the map, as Viper is not only with his roams, but he's still made up in terms of CS differential against Eclipse, and I wonder if that's just from the one time Eclipse was brought down towards that river skirmish.
Hard to say. I mean, even when he was dying, right, we called out Viper was not going down in CS whatsoever. He's consistently out CSing his opponents. And now XU hanging out is spotted out on a ward, and he's also down a fair amount of CS going up against Hyper. And that's a big part of it just being that he's died, and the jungle, you know, resets on a very specific schedule, and you need to make sure that you are on that schedule in order to make sure you're not losing out on any of that gold. But so many members of Dignitas now here getting matched by TSM's rotation.
Perfect execution, first cast. Shuriken backflip to find its way onto JJ. Super Mega Death Rocket, a little bit more damage, but not enough for Viper to think about using the second cast to take anyone down. That's going to be Viper's main assassination tool gone.
Does he need it, right? There's Rift Herald that they are going to potentially be playing for, and everybody else on the team is going to be hanging out, but there's no turret for Eclipse to take in the bottom side, and I think Viper can just come back, happy to trade a lot of damage down onto the members of Dignitas, and Dignitas still, without control of these choke points, are unable to walk towards the upcoming Rift Herald, and it should be going directly towards TSM.
They have the numbers for it. Eclipse doesn't have teleport to be able to join the other side of the fight, despite Unleashed teleport now being available to both teams. JJ and Spawn bullied by Yurson and Instinct away from that Tribush, but they will lose vision. Meanwhile, Hyper in a 1v1 against XU, and because he is Gwen, he does a lot of damage at this point. Looks for the solo kill onto XU, despite JJ doing his best to protect his jungler from death. XU survives, but will be forced away from the Rift Herald. Moonlight Vigil comes out from Spawn, getting more chip damage onto Viper and company from TSM, but they should have control.
They're using this control to create a lot more space, but Eclipse currently unmatched in the bottom lane, and it does mean that even though the Rift Herald should be going over to the members of TSM, it will be matched by Eclipse doing a lot of damage to the structure. He's only now getting matched and set. Takes structures pretty darn quickly. No teleport available, so TSM should be able to clean this up, and the game remains very even between the two teams. It's not a large lead for Dignitas like we saw last time. In fact,
Oh
XU going
god.
down.
Yeah, no Crescent Guard available this time around. No Flash either. Easy pickings for TSM.
That's the third time, unfortunately. 3 deaths coming in from XU. Not very typical for his gameplay thus far, but he will be alive in time for the Dragon, but he is going to be late if TSM do want to force the issue. And TSM, they haven't been great at controlling these choke points. They don't necessarily have the champions that are particularly good for it, and they've been giving up a lot of ground. But with everybody backing away and XU dead, everybody's going to be a little bit late coming into the Dragon, and so TSM can have to start looking for some flangles in order to make sure that they can actually put some threats onto Darkwing.
I like that's your new word now. Flangle.
I know. I don't know why I've started saying it. It makes me think of fingers.
Why?
Phalanges.
What's a phalange?
It's a medical term for like the bones in your fingers and toes, I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
you mean like the... Oh, because they're like, really skinny and kind of... Flange? You know what? I can kind of see it now.
I don't. It's. I think it's Greek, but anyway.
Okay, JJ's fine. He has grand entrance. That was a flash from your son trying to capitalize on JJ's potential mispositioning, but he's fine. Got distracted by the phalanges, Josh.
Phalanges and the flangles and the turret takes. I don't have a great way to, shorten that one down in a way that's funny only to me. But Eclipse is able to accomplish it nonetheless, and Dignitas, again, they maintain a very narrow gold lead across this game, and I'm still waiting for one of these teams to go for something that is going to break it open, and I think this might be it. Takeover looking for an opportunity, but quickly realizes there are too many people here, and Dark Wings is like, yeah, nope, worth.
Solar Flare and Zap, not enough to force Spawn to use Flash or Cleanse, and not be lethal for him to be in a space where he would have gone down. But Takeover is going to take the fact that he just forced out Chaos Storm from Dark Wings, will not be able to stick around. This is why they... Oh, well, we're fighting in the jungle, though. 2-man knockup onto the front line, but a lot of damage, though, from the Super Mega Death Rocket. JJ will bite the dust. That's one reset for Instinct, and Spawn is separated from the rest of his front line, who are now burnt down to a crisp. And Takeover is rotating on over. Eclipse, can he turn this around? Huge damage from the Haymaker, and the Facebreaker sets up for more. Spawn, can he contribute to the fight? He steps up forward, but Instinct is trading blow for blow, auto attack for auto attack. Who will win out? Instinct dodging out on the last skill shot from Spawn. And now he can look to run down Eclipse. No flash available from the top lane of Dignitas. He goes back in. Facebreaker and Haymaker. Not enough damage. Flash forward from Instinct. A flash from Takeover gets the shutdown on Eclipse.
Such a close fight, Mark, between these two teams. Dignitas showing some life, but unfortunately just not able to do the damage that they need. A couple small misplays coming through from Dignitas ends up costing them the fight. Notice firstly that Spawn can't do a whole lot of damage here because Gwen is just immune, whereas Instinct is still able to crush down JJ. And then as people start cycling in one by one, Spawn again puts himself in a bit of a dangerous spot because he doesn't get the blast cone. As we continue to watch Spawn one last time, Instinct confident in his ability to just stand and deliver in this last fight because he has the extra attack speed, dodging out on this Q just a little bit, not losing his temper and standing his ground, not running away, and is able to win the 1v1 between the AD carries.
TSM pulling further and further ahead after, you know, a couple of oof moments from the top side of the map where we definitely got excited about Eclipse winning out on another 1v1 to Viper, but, you know, Viper showing, oh, wait a minute, Hyper, no way out of this one. A lot of damage from Dignitas. Takeover finds the flank, but Undying Rage is not available quite just yet. And I think Dignitas now finally realized that without Undying Rage, you can't do anything as this Tryndamere. Viper is also bit in the dust here. Dignitas, with all 5 members, are able to find a response back.
Dignitas just able to come in right away, and they are full committing to that fight immediately. I think they were about as surprised as we were that they just walked into Hyper, throwing down the Rift Herald at a spot where I was not generally expecting a Rift Herald to get put down. But Dignitas now going to be building up a small lead as they continue to open up the map. And I think this is the first time we've broken 1,000 gold lead in either direction this time, as Dignitas finally able to take that down, open the map a little bit, and we can take a look at it again, right? Like, I think Hyper was trying to sweep, not realizing that he actually had the Rift Herald, but Dark Wings is just like, yep, Chaos Storm, you're gone, and then they're calling us like, I don't think this guy has ultimate just quite yet. If we can kill him before it comes back up, it's going to be a great time for the fight. And Eclipse, I mean, the shield just means that there is no way for Instinct and Urson to ever kill him.
Hyper, this time around on someone like Gwen, you have a lot of damage potential when you are working with the rest of your team on a coordinated flank, but because they're caught out by surprise, TSM just scrambled to salvage the fight, and Dignitas are just always going to be successful in turning that one around in their favor. Dragon will be coming up in 35 seconds, though. TSM right now have control of the river, but there is one ward, actually a couple wards from Dignitas around the Raptor Pit and the brush outside of red buff, and Dignitas say, yo, just force him to come to Baron instead.
They're just doing this on vision, so this is a little bit spooky because they're giving TSM opportunities to get set up. A Viper with no teleport is going to be late.
Urson engages onto Eclipse. Solar Flare goes
misses.
wide, and now Eclipse turns things around onto Urson. Face breaker from the Showmaker. Urson will not be long for this world. Takeover's onto the backline, though. Undying Rage and Vipers now join the party with the perfect execution. They find one on the X. Sure can backflip. Can they find Dark Wings? But a beautiful knockup from JJ's grand entrance will lock Viper in his place. Dignitas answer 1 for 2.
Man, poor XU constantly going down in these fights. He is more than half of his team's death in this game, and with the jungler dead, TSM feel very happy to go for this. They have enough DPS, they have enough members alive to screen out and take over. Now, he has to try and defend this mid lane turret, but with no Undying Rage, should really have a tough time doing it. And TSM bring us back to less than 1,000 gold between these two teams, and take over for 1-1. The big play we're going to have to watch, because Viper has failed a lot of these assassinations. Takeover, unlikely to do the same.
For 1-1 on the Tryndamere. Looking for that second item. Navori Quick Blades now online. The next item could go for the Infinity Edge since he already has 2 crit items available. And if you hit that point as Tryndamere, oh man, then things get really terrifying if you are a squishy backliner in Dignitas.
Oh yeah. I'm also entertained that Navori Quick Blades are just kind of the Tryndamere item, right? There's like no other champion that builds this. Sometimes Master Yi. You know, I've seen it built on a Gangplank like once or twice, but it's just something that only Tryndamere does in order to make sure that you get maximum uptime on those spins. And people always say it's like, oh, just kill Tryndamere. He's not super mobile during these team fights. And it's like, have you seen his build? He has Gale Force. He has a spin. And that spin is on like a 2-second cooldown. So he's going to be moving all over the place. And TSM now need to use that mobility to try and actually win this team fight, because Urson
and Eclipse still doesn't have an Unleashed Teleport quite yet. So he's taking the long walk over there. Viper can always respond with his teleport. Dignitas, 3,000 HP on the Baron. XU getting stopped by Urson. Can XU get in over the wall? He flashes over Crescent Guard. XU! What is about this guy and being a Baron thief in the Academy League? They steal the Baron, and now can they clean up the mess from TSM?
Oh.
A Super Mega Death Rocket from Instinct will find JJ, but Dignitas are the ones that are content with their objective on this side.
It doesn't matter if this guy has 5 deaths. As you said, he's constantly winning these Smite 50-50s. It doesn't feel like a 50-50 when XU's in the game, and Dignitas able to grab the Baron. And finally push in through another turret. Takeover dead, Hyper dead, and with 4 members of Dignitas, they're looking to crack this inhib.
This inhibitor turret will fall. There's enough members from TSM that they should be able to defend the game from ending right now. So Dignitas will take their leave. And now, with the extra pressure of super minions coming in through mid-wave, they have an all-access pass to the quadrants of TSM's jungle.
Dignitas looking super resilient so far throughout the day. And the biggest thing here is I'm surprised TSM were willing to just go for this flip, right? It's impossible for them to keep XU out while his flash is up, and as they both get in, 875 smite going in favor of XU, and it looks like they ends up having an opportunity where they both go for a smite, and it's just XU slightly better, right? He's a little bit faster, and it just gives the Baron over towards the members of Dignitas. Now, with 2 minutes left before the Baron, they should still or they won't quite have the Baron up left at that point, but all the teleports for Dignitas are up, as in all of them. I mean, just one, right? Just Eclipse, but that's still all of them.
Viper did use his to join the fight at the Baron pit. TSM down without that teleport means that Eclipse can constantly drive pressure towards his side of the map. Right now, Takeover is the one that is the responder for that pressure. The rest of Dignitas, as a 4-man core, will be pushing in through the bottom side. No one needs to attend to the mid wave because it's an open inhibitor. Super minions are already being that 6th man for the side of Dignitas. This outer turret will surely fall.
No help on this turret. Yeah, Dignitas should be able to push in here, and TSM need to figure out how they are going to try and turn things around. They don't have the same kind of flanking powers they did last time. Akali doesn't have crowd control in the same way that Viper's Riven did, and the teleport coming in from XU, Dignitas are
Eclipse
committed.
wants to be a part of this fight. Takeover has a flank angle on the spawn, but Dignitas are able to recuperate back. Yurson gets forced out, but XU's now gone. 5-4. Eclipse using the Haymaker, no more shield, and Takeover wants to pick his moment. Undying Rage comes out, but beautiful stuff from JJ. The quickness, Moonlight Vigil almost connects on the Takeover on the last part untick of that Undying Rage, has to flash away. And Dignitas, despite being numbers down, manages to survive.
Yeah, XU ends up going down at the start of that fight, but it doesn't matter because the rest of the team is able to kite out, and that is the problem with TSM's composition. It is so hard for them to actually get things started. Yurson really needs to be the one to get these fights going in a place where Instinct can't hit and reset during these fights. But Dignitas are going to be the first ones on the scene for this upcoming Dragon. They also have a ton of vision control over TSM's red quadrant of the map, and Dignitas have been a lot better at controlling a lot of these choke points than TSM have been so far today. And as they take control now, we'll see if TSM can force their way through.
One of the cool growth points from Dignitas from Game 1 into Game 2, you know, they realized that how much worse were the flanks for as a problem for them. And with this draft at this Rakan, JJ has been absolutely stellar preventing assassins and divers going in for these flanks. Super Mega Death Rocket goes wide as well. This is the 4th Dragon of the game, 2nd Dragon for Dignitas respectively. Eclipse walking forward onto Yurson, knowing he doesn't have flash. He's unwavered at all. Soul Flare will land, the stun connects. It's going to be Sarek's Gauge that will be popped. Eclipse still has the Haymaker. Oh, no!
Oh.
I don't know if that was the decision you wanted to make there as TSM. They lose out Viper, and now it's 5-on-4. In fact, Instinct is not with them, so they can just catch out Yurson, and now it's a 5-on-3. Oh, no.
None of Viper's flanks this game have gone right at all. Every time he goes in, he just gets instantly blown up. And we saw Spawn end last game with an aggressive Gale Force forward with the ultimate. He has the same option now.
Instinct is the only person that could potentially change this fight. Takeover would have to use his Undying Range tactfully. XU preventing Instinct from being able to participate in the fight on the other side of the fight. XU almost getting critically low, but Instinct doesn't find any resets quite yet. There's one onto XU, but he's now sub 50 HP. Hyper is also 50 HP, but the Moonlight Vigil goes wide. Viper's back up. Can they find Spawn? Viper's gonna do his damnedest. Stipe finds out one on Eclipse. Dark Wings will go down as well, and TSM are not losing this game yet. Spawn and JJ have to be on the run. Baron is up in 50 seconds. Multiple members of Dignitas will be able to spawn away, but if they can delay these death timers and somehow still pick out Spawn, there's a chance that TSM could contest the Baron.
Yeah, Yurson constantly pushing them back, and we I haven't even realized this, or we haven't talked about it, but TSM haven't even gotten the mid lane outer turret. Yurson takes a bit of damage, but hey, there's an opportunity. Viper going in, Hyper.
Oh god, oh god. They found
They got
Spawn, and that's huge for TSM. Dignitas will not have their marksman for this Baron fight in the next 15 seconds.
How do Dignitas stall this out? How are they going to create a situation where TSM are uncomfortable? Are they just going to say, like, yeah, XU can smite this again, no worries? Or are they going to try and contest it at all? JJ has to reset. He has no wards. He has no cooldowns available to him. And it looks like Dignitas just going to be giving up this objective. TSM have Viper waiting in the wings. And yeah, this is going to be it. Instinct going to just beat down this Baron with the Gatling gun and call it a day. So the gold remains dead on even in this game. And this whole series, Mark, has just been blow for blow between these two teams. Every single time we see Viper go for a cool play, it's immediately matched by XU stealing a Baron, or Spawn flashing forward, or Instinct resetting on different people. There's so many ways for both these teams to showcase what they're doing, and it just comes down to one mistake, and nobody's made that critical mistake
You
yet.
know, we get close to critical mistakes. I thought Viper getting caught out initially in mid lane was the crucial mistake. That I thought that would have been Dignitas' window to close out the game. But then Viper, the tenacity this guy has to be unwavered even in slip-ups, in moments where things look dire, comes flying out the gate from Fountain, respawn, and finds 2 kills quickly. But it's now a teleport flank from Eclipse. Does he find the angle? TSM are aware that Eclipse is around in this side. Eclipse is going to look for it. He finds Yurson. It's a tank, though, and Yurson now finds an access pass on to Spawn. Solar Flare setting up the backline of Darkwings and Spawn, but TSM can't follow up on the engage. Yurson will go down. The rest of Dignitas now advancing forward, 5 against 4.
Oh, just waiting for his flash. Eclipse has it coming up in a couple seconds. He's trying to find something. They're not going to be fast enough. They're going to be moving in. The inhib is exposed. And with Yurson dead for 30 more seconds, I wonder if Dignitas try and take this game, or take this opportunity to end the game. There's only one Nexus turret between them and the Nexus.
But Baron minions empowering these minions from TSM.
Oh.
It's going to be enough. Whoa.
See that?
Yeah, that was a lot of damage on the Instinct there. The Dignitas will not be able to end the game. Oh, no way. Does Eclipse just flash over the wall and try to find... Oh, okay. This is so tense, Josh. Ah!
JJ realizing there's a ward there, but they actually did a good job of sweeping, and it's very plausible that they had all just back there. So TSM very wisely staying away from that quadrant of the jungle, knowing that even if they think they've backed it, is not worth it to give up another kill. In 30 seconds till the next dragon. 2 dragons apiece at 31 minutes between these two teams. Now TSM trying to find a way through, and again, I just want to give a lot of praise to Viper. Even though he's not finding a lot of successful flanks, he's constantly going for plays, and it's quietly allowing Instinct to have a deathless game thus far, Mark. 4-0-10 on this Jinx. They just need to find this first reset.
Eclipse was trying to use Yurson as a backpack to get onto Instinct, forcing the flash out, looking for the face breaker, but now he is separated by multiple members.
That's the one.
There's no more front line for Decisive. Dignitas. Super Mega
That's
Death
2
from Instinct is going to be huge. This is his game to close out. This is his game to win and prove that TSM can still tangle with the rest of Dignitas. The Dignitas have lost 4 members. Darkwing's the only member alive.
Darkwing saving the Chaos Storm for the crucial moment at the end. I thought that was it. Instinct starting to get the reset. 5-0-13 now, and oh my gosh, look at the damage that Darkwing is able to do. Instinct is so low, 1 laser could take him down.
But it's too scary for Darkwings to approach the Dragon Pit. Instinct, man. Still deathless on this Jinx. I mean, you said it before. Just watch the positioning and the reaction time from Instinct, just knowing that immediately as soon as Eclipse comes in, flashing away before the face breaker connects.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is the fact that Eclipse flashes over the wall there creates a lot of space, but it also means that there's no chance that he ever gets out. And then the only thing that saves this game is 2 members stunned on the gravity field, instantly popped by the Chaos Storm, and Instinct forced to use the stopwatch in order to keep himself alive. Ends up saving the game for Darkwings, but the game is still going. We are back to a dead-on even game, Mark. Less than 100 gold between these two teams as we crest the 33-minute mark. 19-17, and only 1 extra dragon in favor of TSM. It still comes down to who's going to blink first in this game of chicken.
And look at this. Instinct very well aware that he is the game changer for TSM, because Viper, Hyper, and Takeover, they can buy him space, they can look for assassinations onto the play, but Instinct can always clean up a fight once all of the big cooldowns have been burned. And with that, he has invested into a Guardian's Angel, so that if there's one flank that works from Dignitas, he might have some time to respawn and reposition quickly for the second part of the fight. Yurson looking for the Hex Flash, not going to go for it. Viper potentially on the flank. Soul Flare not going to stun up Eclipse. XU goes in. Yurson goes in as well. Showstopper for the out. They find Instinct onto the backline, but Eclipse will still bite the dust in exchange for Yurson, and its Instinct still has 50% HP to work with. GA not popped. Takeover did burn his Undying range. Now Dignitas are on the aggressive, trying to push in this mid wave. Baron is spawning in 55 seconds.
Still trying to parse what happened during that last fight, Mark, but the waves are pushing in opposite sides. We got a yin-yang on the map as Dignitas has their bottom lane pushing, but a big wave crashing in the top side for TSM. And this is one of the big plays around the map that will happen. As long as you're taking fights, even fights with your waves pushing, it is going to be in your favor. But Dignitas, do they stick around? No, they want to make sure they back. They want to make sure they get their full items ready for this upcoming fight. What kind of completed items do we have? Spawn coming back with a rapid fire cannon. Finally able to contest some of Jinx's range.
The Fishbones give an Instinct so much safety now anytime he switches over to rocket form. And he can just pelt away at spawn. And that is one of the troubles of Aphelios traditionally. As the later the game goes on, you have to deal with champions who will be able to somewhat outrange you. Rapid fire, as you called it, maybe will alleviate some of those moments. Dignitas, Baron is alive. Getting first shove into this mid wave right now.
I think Spawn is desperately trying to get rid of this flamethrower gun. I have to imagine his next gun is going to be the Chakrams. You can find those Chakrams, red, white. Super powerful combination against all of the melee champions that would be coming through. But, oh, it doesn't look like he's doing that. He's still hanging on to some of the ammo. If he was trying to waste it, he would just be pressing Q on cooldown.
Well, maybe he'll use it on the wave right here. Just getting control of the side of the map right now. Dignitas. Solar Flare onto Eclipse.
Spawn.
Takeover has a way onto spawn through the left side. Viper doesn't connect with the Shuriken backflip. And now Perfect Execution also burned as well. Dignitas can now walk into the base, look for the inhibitor before turning their eyes towards either the Dragon or the Baron.
But both the side waves are pushing towards Dignitas' side of the map. It's not easy to go for anything here, especially because Viper's ultimate is on such a low cooldown. They might get the inhibitor, but let's be real, the inhibitor doesn't matter a whole lot at this point in the game. It's pretty trivial to actually clear a lot of these waves. Well, look at that. Red, white coming out for Spawn. He's got a lot of ammo in both guns, and all these melee champions will be destroyed by just the raw damage output that would come out from this. But it also does a lot of damage to the Baron, and they're going for it directly.
And there's 45 seconds before the Dragon spawns, so TSM cannot just let this Baron go by and then take the Dragon off the other hand. They need to fight for this Baron, and need to prevent Dignitas from being able to take the Dragon off the respawn as well. 4k HP on the Baron.
We're going for a flip.
Can Hyper get in
This
there?
is a flip.
XU secures it, and Eclipse will go down. It's a numbers advantage for TSM. They're onto the back line. Spawn is flashed over to the wall, but he cannot participate in the fight any longer, and this just allows TSM to freely run down any stragglers. Yurson will still survive. The Baron does go over to Dignitas, but TSM now have the numbers advantage to secure the Dragon in 14 seconds.
I don't even know if they care about the Dragon. They're looking to try and end the game, potentially. They have a 5 versus 2. Oh, the damage coming through from Spawn, barely keeping away from the 5% execute on the Collector, but Spawn and JJ need to back away, and okay, it is just going to be the Dragon, but it is an Infernal Soul that is going to be going over in favor of TSM. And Mark, let's go back. It's another 50-50 smite won by XU. Everybody was in the pit. And XU still comes out on top, but the only problem in this fight was that Takeover found his way directly to Spawn, and Spawn, with no way to deal with the Tryndamere through the Undying Rage, just has to get out of dodge.
Yeah, just immediate flash and respect. Still has the cleanse for the next fight, though. But yeah, the way that the rest of the fight panned out, not everyone had flash, not everyone had an escape pass over the wall. TSM will secure the Infernal Soul in exchange for losing out on the Baron. And this is a permanent buff. Baron will expire soon.
Yeah, they've got about a minute and a half left, but Dignitas Eclipse is in this bush. I don't know if TSM know about that. They're just going to face check
Viper Thankfully for TSM, it's not Instinct that steps up first. Otherwise, that could have been a game-changing moment for Dignitas. Without Instinct, surely they could have been able to push down through with their Baron buff on their side through the mid-wave and potentially made a break for the game.
Here it goes down. 2,000 gold lead coming out for the side of TSM. Again, the leads between these two teams have been so tight the entire game. This Infernal Soul probably the biggest advantage anybody has gotten so far this game. And everybody has to move around as a team. If somebody comes in for a flank and you're not ready, your teleport is not fast enough. You have to be there immediately. And so the teleports that are available to someone like Eclipse, you can use them now when they know that there's no threat to their backline. But if they ever get an inkling that a fight is likely to break out, he should be looking to teleport immediately so that he can serve as the front line that Dignitas need.
Because at this point, it's no longer about who can clear out the other fight if you're TSM, because TSM, they have 3 divers. And so Eclipse can no longer be on dive duty. He has to be on peel duty.
There it is.
He's going to be here to make sure that no flank comes out quite yet. All 5 members are here for TSM.
Spotted.
Spawn, no flash available. Watch how Viper plays around it. Eclipse has been rounded off by the rest of
Eclipse
TSM.
is separated.
Soulflare comes out. He's going to use the Showbreaker to get himself back over to Dignitas' side of the fight. JJ had to spot the stopwatch here. XU in a fight with Viper. JJ tries to get out, but that's one reset for Instinct. He's going to push forward. Super Mega Death Rocket almost taking out XU. Shuriken backflip will not connect on to Spawn, but XU will still go down.
Oh, that's 2!
Another one on Eclipse.
Instinct!
Tony Instinct win! Through the GA will still survive, and TSM will prevail with an ace, and it might just be enough time to close out the game.
Instinct is still deathless. 9-0-16, the youngest member here for TSM, absolutely showing up, finding every single reset throughout this entire game. And again, 0 deaths in 40 minutes of gameplay, always keeping himself alive, never taking any unnecessary risks. And now TSM are poised to end the game, improving themselves to 3-9.
It was a team effort from TSM, but you cannot take away the fact that Instinct, the youngest member, the newest member of this Academy squad, was the game changer for this team to even up the series, going deathless, 10-0-16 on the Jinx. GG, well played.
Jeez, I hope some of you guys had this guy on your fantasy roster, because double-digit kills, double-digit assists, and no deaths. You can't really ask for a whole lot more than that. Nearly 10 CS per minute as well, 389 in 41 minutes. Crazy stuff coming out from this guy. There's a reason why 100 Thieves picked him up so long ago for 100 Thieves Next, and why he's continuing to see success in all of these teams. Now, TSM, they still have to go back. That game was a long, crazy game. They can figure out some of their flanks a little bit better for next time, but seeing that no matter what, these guys are fighters is what TSM needs to see.
Back in the summer of last year, near the end of August, I actually got a DM from Parth, and Parth wanted to reach out to me and ask me some questions about Amateur and Academy. Not only for my opinion on, the format of Proving Grounds, or the first iteration of Proving Grounds, but he had also told me, hey, I'm planning on running a scouting combine for TSM towards October. And, and he was asking me questions about, like, okay, what kind of requirements should we have for the teams? Are we missing anything? And then he started asking me about some players. And he's like, I've heard Instinct's name come up a few times. What do you think? And I'm like, dude, Instinct is crazy. Instinct is so good. He was one of the few reasons outside. He and Busio were the 2 only good members from the spring iteration of 100 Thieves Next during last year, before they brought on Chad and Gamsu again. He was just, like, Instinct has always been this cracked, but it's just so incredible to see that level of play and that level of dominance has not strayed, even though he has now ascended to Academy from Amateur. This guy is always playing at the top of his game, and in one of TSM's few victories so far in the split, he is one of the main reasons why they're able to pull through.
We'll see how well he can continue that going forward, because even while we are so excited they were able to pick up a win here over Dignitas, it still means that they ended up drawing this series. And a draw not a win. You're still looking to prove and get better every day. As Mela said at the very first interview that we had today, it's all about improvement. The better you get, the wins will come naturally alongside it. And so there's still plenty of things for the rest of the squad to figure out. Do they want to play to Instinct a little bit more? Every time Viper's on a team, we say, play top side, play top side. But Instinct showing now that he's having such consistent games that if he has a lead, maybe he'll be able to convert them.
Nothing more to say on our end. Just, absolute props to TSM for turning it around. Dignitas had obviously a great game one, but TSM are able to bounce back and even up the series. When we come back, it'll be Kangas on deck with our interview with one of the TSM Academy players.
On something, growing up, I dreamed just nothing. Ooh, what are you? People talk loud, I get what they're telling me. I fucked up, but I didn't care of it. Ooh, what did you? Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong. And everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, for our final post-match interview with TSM Academy. Instinct coming in here after a very stressful series. Both of those games went the distance and were absolutely insane. And I'm going to say it, inarguably what might have been the performance of your career. Congratulations on that Jinx gameplay. That was absolutely insane. And I won't mention that flash over the Baron Pit wall. But Instinct, I wanted to start off with asking you, because your name was Asilian back in the day when you were playing an amateur on teams like Mirage. What's the reason for the name change? Why Instinct?
I just wanted to be first of all, the name Nasilian wasn't like really my name. So then I wanted to have my own name, so it's like a new start for me. So I decided to change it up and have my own like character. So that's how I got my name, or why I wrote name swap too.
Okay, cool. I like it. I mean, it lives up, I think. Instinct, it kind of matches your play style. Now, I want to bring you back to a specific point in the game where it felt like Instinct might have had something to do with your performance. It was around 17 minutes, 30 seconds in. You were taking a fight in Dignitas's jungle behind the blue buff wall. Aphelios was approaching, and I'm just curious, what was going through your mind when you decided to take that fight against Aphelios and then actually win the fight and then still get a second kill afterwards?
Mm, I know like uh Phyllis is like really based off his gun. So and I played that Phyllis a lot. So when I looked at his guns, he didn't really have really good guns. He had red and green, which is not really good for 1v1ing. So then I'm really strong too, so I just knew I was gonna win and I just killed them. And I killed another person afterwards and we just snowballed the game.
Yeah, the snowball just kept rolling from that point on, and you were able to survive for so long. Now, it didn't feel like nerves really played a role in that game in particular, but this is week 3. I want to bring you back to week number 1 of Academy and ask, did you have any nerves going into your Academy debut? And in general, what's your approach to dealing with nerves?
Mm, how I deal with nerves is just like you shouldn't really care about what other people think. You should just think on like you should just play the best you can and not care about what other people say to you about you. And that's what I do.
It's a good approach. I like that one. And I think that that's something that a lot of players can consider. But I'm happy that, especially so early in your career, that you're already having that mentality. Now, I do want to address, you ended a big loss streak there. That's fantastic. It was so close in game 1, but you were able to get it in game 2. Next week is Super Week, and you have FlyQuest Academy, Golden Guardians Academy, and Team Liquid Academy. So looking forward, how do you predict TSM will do going into the Super Week?
I think it doesn't matter who we play against. I think most of the time we just lose games. We just lose to ourselves, and that's a big problem. I think if we play games how we are taught to play, we will beat anybody in academy. I don't think any teams are that good.
Okay, so it doesn't matter the opponent; you'll always bring the heat. I like that. And again, focusing on the self improvement, that's always a healthy mentality to have. All right, well, Instinct, that's gonna wrap up the show on the day. So I want to give you the opportunity to take the podium and just give any thoughts that you have for the fans, anybody watching, any message that you have for those at home.
Um, I don't know. Hashtag TSM win. Just support us. I don't know.
Hashtag TSM win. All right, that's going to be the tweet going out next. Well, thank you so much, Instinct, for coming on and having this post-series interview. Rafa's in my ear. I don't know if you can hear me saying he loves you. So congratulations on the win and best of luck going into the series next week.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Rafa. Appreciate it. I'm sure. I think he did hear you.
No,
So I'm happy that the message got across.
Oh, God. It's just so cool to see him from 2020 back on the Mirage Esports days and to see him prosper, man. I mean, TSM Academy as a whole haven't had the greatest Academy split so far, but games like that give me hope, man. So, I just want to see so many of these players. There's so many cool players to watch and track. I was getting excited about XU, obviously, going into it, but Instinct is also another person I've been following. It's through the early days of amateur and collegiate. So, it just, I want all players to succeed, man. I want all players to look good and eventually make their way onto the LCS big stage one day.
That's the goal, right? That's the purpose of this Academy League, and the goal for so many of the players that are playing in this league. They want to make it to the LCS stage and show that they do have what it takes to hang with the top talent, not just North America, but globally, given the way LCS works. But let's take a look and recap the schedule and what happened throughout today, because we had a lot of League of Legends, guys. So, Joshi, I'm going to pass this one to you once we get this schedule up here. Thoughts overall on how things wrapped up, as I believe this is... Yes, correct. This is the day schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely didn't go the way I was expecting it to, kind of across the board, right? I was expecting a lot more clean sweeps, but not in the way that we were generally expecting. A lot of close games came through today, and Cloud9 showing up in a big way, raising the question of what version of Cloud9 are we going to be seeing next week? Are they going to continue improving? Or was this a bit of a flash in the pan for them? I think both options are very exciting because there's a lot of stories going through this team right now. And with Malice joining, I can't wait to see what they do next.
And the big storyline as well, we didn't get to catch it on our stream, but you see at the bottom there, 100 Thieves versus CLG. 100 Thieves 2-0'd that series. Rafa, we were all hyped on CLG, but 100 Thieves still bringing the heat.
Dude, I wish I could have seen the game because, or the stream layout, because I know that we had at least prepped some Wixie tweets against Breezy with have fun with him and just kind of like sad boy hours, since Wixie and Breezy used to play together back on Cloud9 Amateur last year, and this was going to be the first time that they were facing each other after such a long tumultuous year of playing in Amateur. So I'll definitely have to go back and watch that series play out, because from what some of the on-air talent was telling us in between breaks, Busio popped off. So I'm excited to see
I can't
that.
wait to go back and watch those. Also, TL with the 2-0 over Immortals, still on their slump. But let's take a look at the schedule going forward, because, of course, we have a super week coming up next week, guys. That means 3 days of best of twos, 15 series of League of Legends. So week 4, day 1, it's right around the corner. We're already prepping for it. And for the stream A, what are the highlights for you, Rafa?
Oh, man, I am looking at that Cloud9 Team Liquid series because, you know, if Cloud9 didn't show such a strong showing, I would have just immediately said, oh, yeah, Team Liquid will take this easily. But this is going to be a battle of styles, right? Armeo has been a jungler that is usually played for lane advantage and using it for small control advantages, but the way the Mouse is showing the play style, I mean, if he's pulling out Karthus, Evelynn, Hecarim, these power farmers that are going to net huge advantages on some of the standard junglers like the Xin Zhao, the Lee Sin, and the Jarvan, then Team Liquid either have to nail down the window of execution where they can find an advantage over Cloud9 in that series, or they have to find a similar playstyle from Cloud9, right? Either fight against it or join it.
It's going to be sick because, again, like you said, the playstyles can match up, but also just the history of, you know, Malice's opinion of North American junglers, Armeo being one of the mainstays in North America in the jungle. I think that alone is going to bring a lot of spice into that. But then, of course, we also have the secondary stream, Face It, twitch.tv/FaceItTV. So I believe that we have that schedule here as well. Joshi, I'm going to give you this one. On stream 2, what's your match to highlight?
Well, I really want to see on Stream 2 next week, FlyQuest versus TSM. I know these guys are currently both struggling. They're both tied at 3-9, but that just means that they will both be coming in with a chip on their shoulder. And if the violence that TSM brought to the table today has anything to say about how that series is going to go, I imagine it's going to be even bloodier, as FlyQuest are not going to be able to sit back against, you know, a team like TSM, where they're just going to be bringing out all these bruisers and brawling you to death. So that's going to be my match of, you know, of the day, week 4 at day 1 at the beginning of Super Week. And it's going to start right off the bat.
And a reminder, Super Week means a lot of things. It means more games of League of Legends, more action in Academy, but also an opportunity for us to have some fun on the broadcast and bring on some guests. So be checking out Path to LCS, the Twitter account, because we should be having some things announced on there probably over the weekend, if not early into next week, about who you will be seeing on the show next time around. But that's it for week 3, everybody. We've done it. we can send it off and get ready for the first Super Week in Academy 2022. Thank you to everybody in production for keeping the gears going. Thank you to my amazing casters for keeping up the energy throughout the day. Thank you to everybody in chat who is sticking around and watching the show, but most importantly, thank you to the players for putting on that performance. We'll be back, same place, same time, Wednesday for more Academy LCS.